Harris and Donald Trump.
Who y'all voting for, man? Let's get right to this.
For the first time.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
The vice president walking to the former president's podium to shake his hand in Philadelphia.
How tall Trump is?
Two standing just 6 feet apart. From the start, the gloves were off.
Tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling.
Trump punching back.
She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
The stakes could not be higher for tonight's debate. The two candidates locked in a dead heat in polls. The economy and inflation on the top of American voters' minds. Trump laying the blame on the Harris and Biden administration.
We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%.
Harris responding.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century.
Like the Trump-Biden debate, tonight there was no studio audience and the microphones were turned off.
And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Harris responding.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
The debate turning personal.
The economy hella fucked up right here, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Nigga go in the grocery store, nigga, $12 for some eggs is crazy. Gas, $8 a gallon. The dollar store ain't even a dollar no more. Like, this shit getting out of hand, my nigga. Somebody, whoever getting this motherfucker gotta change that shit, man. For real, for real.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
Trump claiming Biden was pushed off the Democratic ticket.
You talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
Both candidates getting heated when discussing the issue of abortion.
Hey, that nigga Trump don't be giving no fucks, though. Like, that's one thing you gotta say about that nigga. He gonna speak whatever the fuck he want for the show, whether it's good or bad. We like that shit or not. That nigga gonna say whatever the fuck he feel.
Abortion, an area of vulnerability for the GOP.
Her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote.
ABC News fact-checking the former president.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Harris, after reminding Americans of Trump's role in selecting members of the Supreme Court who overturned Roe v. Wade, went on the attack.
I absolutely...
That nigga Trump out here just lying and shit. They had to fact check that nigga. That nigga out here lying like a motherfucker, man. That's crazy. And it's funny because if she didn't fact check that nigga, 40 million Americans would have believed that shit right off the rip.
Support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
According to...
Nah, that's real talk, bro. That is an insult. Like, that's some fucked up shit to say, for real, for real. And on top of that, like, the fact that we even have to have this as a motherfucking topic in the presidential debate is just crazy to me. Like, this shit shouldn't even be a discussion, bro. Women should be able to do what the fuck they want with their body at the end of the day. The fact that we even have any say-so on that shit just shows where we headed as a country, bro. That shit lame as fuck. Like, we shouldn't have any type of control for motherfucker. Some people believe in abortion, some don't, my nigga. Like, but the choice should always be up to the woman to go ahead and decide what she want to do. For the government to decide, yeah, you can or cannot is just crazy to me, my nigga.
To a Pew Research Center study, a majority of Americans believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases. President Trump hammering the Biden administration
I agree,
on the
too.
border, an area of vulnerability for Harris.
There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, Crime is down all over the world except here.
Harris defending her record, pointing to the bipartisan border bill that Trump killed.
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
At one point, Trump repeating debunked claims about immigrants in Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
What the bro? Bro, what the fuck you talking about right now, man? Like, what the man?
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Both
Hey, that's 2 strikes, bro. You got caught lying 2 times, my nigga. It's funny how they fact checking that nigga right on the spot, though. That shit is crazy. He out here lying like a motherfucker, man. I will say, though, they ain't said Kamala lied about shit as of now, neither, though. So, just make sure y'all go out there and vote, man. I don't care who y'all voting for, man. Just make sure y'all go vote, man.
candidates going after one another. Harris needling Trump about his rallies.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there.
ABC News anchor Lindsay Davis challenging the vice president on her change.
Damn, Quavo. Hey, the crazy thing is, though, like, they all kind of doing that shit. Like, Amber Rose on her Donald Trump shit. You know, he had influence on that. You got Aiden Ross putting that nigga Trump on the streams and shit, giving him the presidential Cybertruck and shit. But then, you know, you got, like, Quavo and all the niggas and shit popping out for Kamala and shit. Bro, like, what the fuck is really going on? Bro, this shit is crazy. Like, really sit back and think about what's going on right now and what we doing. Like, motherfuckers is rallying with Quavo for a motherfucking presidential. Like, this shit is crazy. Motherfucking Amber Rose, my nigga.
Positions.
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made.
Tonight was crucial for both candidates. But for Harris, it was her biggest stage yet, as she reintroduces herself to voters, with recent polls showing nearly a third of voters say they still don't know enough about her. While tonight was her first presidential debate, she did not hold back.
When you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact.
Trump launching attacks on Harris's record.
She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Tonight was Trump's 7th presidential debate. Less than 3 months ago, he was on the debate stage facing off against a different candidate.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare,
shortly after Trump survived an assassination attempt.
Yo,
Then
this nigga
Biden
Biden,
dramatically
boy, can't
ending
even
his
talk.
bid for a second term, passing the torch to his vice president. Polling shows Harris and Trump locked at a tight race. A New York Times Siena poll found Trump leading Harris by 1 percentage point. The former president's support holding steady despite a New York jury finding him guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records in the Stormy Daniels hush money case.
I think this is so rich.
All right, look. What y'all think about that shit? So, I just want to say this. So, look. So, Trump, convicted felon, all that good shit, right? How the fuck he get to run for president? Like, does anyone even think about that shit? Like, for real, let's think about this shit. Look. Niggas can't even live in certain apartment complexes. Like, you feel me? You apply, you can't even get a certain job with a motherfucking. You can't even work at the bank or no shit like that with a motherfucking felony. My bad. You can go apply for a motherfucking apartment complex. They run your background. They say you're a felon. They don't even want to rent the apartment to you. All types of shit. But this nigga can do what he do. He a whole felon and can just run for the president of the country. So what that means is if he can win the president spot, then any felon should be able to work anywhere the fuck they choose at this point, because that's the example you setting at the end of the day. And not all felons is bad and shit, of course. So, like, do they deserve good jobs? Hell yeah. Some of them niggas do. You feel me? Some of them niggas don't, though. But at the end of the day, like, our country a joke, bro. Like, we a joke, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. This shit is sad.
Coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Trump responding.
I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department.
Tonight's debate coming amidst prolonged conflict.
Imagine being a nigga, man. Imagine being black, bro. The Justice Department is always weaponized against us. Always has been, always gonna be. So, like, we ain't trying to hear that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Conflict in the Middle East. Israel, a controversial topic.
She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires
Hey, you know this shit pissing him off, especially that it's coming from a woman, right? And then on top of it all, it's a black woman. Look at his face. Look at Kamala. She look like she just killing that nigga low key. I ain't gonna lie to you. But it's like, just imagine his insides is fuming right now. Fuming.
dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
After the debate, Taylor Swift endorsing Harris, writing in part on Instagram, "I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them." With the election less than 2 months away, the impact of tonight's debate can't be underestimated.
Taylor Swift just influenced 2 million people to vote for Kamala, just like that. Straight up.
What matters is what the voters think. But in the end, right now, he is tied with Kamala Harris. Does this change anything? You have to be very careful, and it's very important to see what the voters think.
When we come back, our Powerhouse Roundtable drills down on the action of the evening and tells us what it all means as we move through this contentious and consequential presidential election.